I wanted to have you on. I've been wanting to have you on since I looked back at the date that your brand first addressed the crisis, and it was on March 16th. And I think that my direct email to you was, "This is so refreshing. Thank you for being so real." And oh, and it was at a time when all of the brands were sending basically the same 3 bullet points in an email, and it was just like, we are following CDC guidelines. We care about the health and safety of our customers and our workers, and we're cleaning. So
Right.
yours was very different. Can you tell everyone about that email and kind of what you decided your approach to all of this was going to be?
Yeah, I think the initial approach was you don't come to my brand to hear about guidelines of how you should stay clean, and how we've sanitized our stores. I think it goes without saying that would, to me, be a customer's expectation. If you are in business, that you are taking those precautions. And I really wanted to get an understanding from my customer of what she wanted to hear from us as a brand, what she wanted to hear from me personally. And so I asked her, I asked her on social. I outlined it in the email where I said, I want to hear what you want. And that was how I was going to then inform, how I would proceed to carry this conversation. I don't think I expected that we'd be carrying it on this long.
Right.
But I think, it's how do you foster community connectivity right now? And that was sort of the goal of that email.
All right. Now, fast forward 3 weeks. Can you talk about your company, maybe the state of it now compared to it then? I mean, it's a whole different world. How would you describe it?
It's a completely different world. I was sort of laughing to myself this morning. I was grabbing some groceries and I was like, it does kind of feel like The Handmaid's Tale, like with all, the people wearing masks and no one talking and, only buy two of an item. It just feels very surreal. It doesn't feel still real to me at all. And I think that, for us as a company, we've had to do a lot of changing and pivoting. We have become, overnight just existing as a solely direct to consumer brand. And so everything is focused around that. And also, how do we tighten our relationship with our community? So every day we start off with a 10 a.m. meeting with all the stakeholders, and we literally go through, calling it day trading. What did we do yesterday? How did it go? What can we do better today? And we all go our separate directions then to execute.
Yes, and you've been very open about that on your own Instagram channel. I think maybe it was 2 weeks in, you said something to the effect of, "It's been a tough week. We've had to make some tough decisions."
Yeah.
Yeah, why is that important to you to kind of keep that open? What would have been some tough decisions? Furloughs and layoffs. Have you faced that already? Where does that all stand?
Yeah, we have had to lay off some staff, which I think was the worst day I've had, or the worst few days I've had in 15 years. But being that, our wholesale business was disrupted, we had to make some cuts, and that's never easy. And then how do you balance that with, you have to keep the business going, not just for its own sake, because we still employ a lot of people and we still want to be here when the economy comes back. So how are you managing this, severing of some team members, and then also being like, please still buy my product. So
Right.
it's a very hard and fine line to ride. And I'm trying to ride it in a way that it seems inspiring, that if you've been laid off, I'm giving you resources of places that are hiring. If your paycheck was cut, we're having a sale. Just trying to just make sure that the conversation is never just wrong and inappropriate.
Yeah, how would you describe that communication in-house? Are you communicating on Slack? How have you been kind of keeping morale up through all these changes?
So my team communicates in Slack. I'm old fashioned. I like plain old text messages, and these earbuds have never gotten more use. I actually lost my wireless ones, but I think for me, it's talking with my team members, the ones that directly report to me. We're texting all day long. We have phone calls a few times a week. And then our morning meeting where, the stakeholders again are all kind of planning it out. So I don't think I've ever been on the phone so much in my life. But it's all towards the aim of working as a team. And I think the silver lining is the team's never been more in communication and never worked more tightly. I think what's been nice is prior to this, there'd be the it's not my job, or I don't know how to do that, or that's not within my scope. And now it's like, what can I do? How can I help? And that's been really nice.
Yeah, I feel like so for some of your social communication to your customers, maybe I'm just like picking up on things or reading into things, but to me, like some of those, you're posting resources for small businesses, you're posting resources for, anyway, female workers working from home now. It seems to overlap a lot with maybe what people would see with your Female Founders Collective. Is there maybe more overlap than in the past? And talk about that a bit.
I think there's definitely overlap. I mean, we're about to launch a directory in the next day or so. That is 7,000 women-owned businesses that you can directly shop from. So I think I'm trying to hit at all these tiny businesses that we depend on as small businesses that are being hit really the hardest, versus these major corporations that have cash to use. And I think my goal is, instead of just getting all your supplies from one place, do the research, take a look, buy from these women-owned companies, and then at the same time, how can I help, people that are just laid off and maybe it's not their ideal job right now, but it's something to keep going until this changes. So I'm trying to hit all ways to be helpful,
Yep.
for people that might need it. I apologize for the knocking. My daughter is trying to break into the bathroom where I've hidden myself.
Talk about where you're recording from today. Where are you?
Well, I the only place where there's 3 points of locked doors is my bathroom. So that is where I am. It is not glamorous. I'm sitting on the floor, but hey, it's
Make it
yes,
work.
make it work.
Right on. You talked about the roadblocks with the wholesale partners. Up till now, what was the breakdown between direct to consumer and wholesale? And is it what we're hearing? Are they just department stores not accepting product? What's going on there?
Yeah, our breakdown was probably 60-40, 60 wholesale, 40 retail. And they're not accepting orders. A lot of them are working with us to push goods that they've ordered that are made and sitting in our warehouse out to when we reopen again. But I would say that a lot of them, everyone's struggling, and in an attempt, you know, I hate the idea of passing the buck. That is what is occurring for every part of this economy right now. And so I think we're trying to just find other avenues where we can move the product that we had made, just be open to new things. It's a whole new world. And so there's no shame in trying out different platforms, trying out other ways of selling. I'm probably going to go on IG Live and start trying to figure out how I can, in a jerry-rigged way, sell from you on Instagram Live. So I think we're just
Yeah.
trying to be creative and trying to um, move product that belonged to other people into other channels.
Got it. So right now, the product that maybe you're sitting on or that you're trying to push out is spring. Is that what kind of the word of
Spring,
it?
summer. Yeah.
Yeah. So are you continuing to, I guess, forge ahead and design for fall and just like keep going with the schedule that you had planned? I hear some folks saying we may skip a season and kind of right ship in terms of this fashion calendar.
I think the interesting thing coming out of this is it might finally force everyone to actually design and ship in season goods. Because the product that we have that, let's say, is being held right now, that will let's just say, fingers crossed, we ship it in June. It'll actually be a summer appropriate versus, shipping it in April when it's not even close to summer. So I think that's an interesting thing. And I think we're looking at our fall. We're still going to go ahead with our fall, but we're going to cut, extremely narrow. We're going to work with our partners now to see what they want to scale back on, because those orders and that production we actually can affect.
Yep.
So I think it's our goal to go into fall holiday resort and cruise as lean as possible so that we have zero inventory. And if we sell out, phenomenal. But we got enough inventory right now to just, to just keep it going and sort of make it exciting for the customer who's going to come to our site to discover it all.
Yeah, I mean, your site has a great sale happening. Has this ever happened where it like, work from home? I think the promos were WFH30 if anybody's shopping. But that spring merchandise, you're kind of saying even new spring merchandise, which I mean, like you said, it's exciting for the customer. Is what are they buying? Is that Zoom theory true? Tops and some earrings, maybe
A
long
lot of
hair.
tops, but still surprisingly a lot of handbags. I mean, normally we wouldn't be on sale right now, especially with new product. And so I think women are still taking advantage of the fact that they know they're going to be leaving their place eventually. And so why not, get some good deals in the meantime?
Got it. And are those promos working? What are you finding out about I don't know what's working in terms of sales? Is it like you said? Why move to Instagram Live? Do they just need it to be more in their face? Do they need something to feel more special than just a site wide sale?
I think what's working for us right now, obviously the promo code helps. I've been doing a lot of IG live chats with different people and doing special flash promo codes within that. They're a little bit different. We've also been doing a lot of cross promotional marketing opportunities with other brands. They're benefiting from my audience and I'm benefiting from theirs. And so I think that's been driving new customers into the site, while we continue to find different ways that, previously our cadence had been about 3 days a week is what we would send email wise. And now it's every day. So I think, how do you keep enticing her and how do you keep it entertaining and fun? We're also adding blog posts like cleaning out your closet. This later this week, I'll be doing how to style your Zoom call outfits. So I think it's a mix of a little bit of entertainment and keeping it fresh.
Yeah, has there been a pivot with more of in terms of resources, more folks working on content, or what's been shifting in house?
I think the biggest shift is we always tried to ride a fine line of how much is me and how much is the brand, and showing also UGC and influencers. And I think we just said, if you look at the feed right now, it's product, it's me, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Because that's what generates, and I'm not trying to sound egotistical as I say that, but that's what drives the revenue and the clicks and the sales. And so we're just like saying enough with any other type of franchises or content pillars. Like, we are going to do what we know works and what gets the customer excited, keeps her engaged. And so that's how we're approaching content. So we don't have more people, working on the team. It's myself and our social media manager, and it's she and I. She's probably the one I talk to the most every day of, what we're going to do, how we're going to keep it exciting, and trying stuff. We tried a Netflix party. Not that many people came. It was too hard to, like, too many clicks, so, okay, we don't have to watch movies together, but you're going to see me do a workout with someone later today. And if that's fun for you and you want to join in, then, that's who I want to connect.
Fun. So I know you've also tried like an Instagram live, like a happy hour with like the Danielle Bernsteins of the world.
Yeah.
What is that still going on? Is it a weekly thing?
Yeah, it's Monday through Friday. Today, mine is with Megan Roop, hence I'm going to be working out with her, and then I'll interview her. But I think it's just, we all need a break from the news. We all need a break from just whatever is making us all feel like this is terrible times. And so that's my goal with the Instagram lives, is to just talk to other women or men, give you some great tips, whether it's style or fitness or cooking. And it's like a great 20-minute break in the day.
Nice. I know, as opposed to others, but you have that e-commerce channel going. Some people, because distribution factories are shut down, they don't even have
Yeah.
that option.
Yeah.
What's going on in terms of your warehouses, your factories? How are you making a go of that?
So our warehouses are still open and have no plans to close. And the goods, like I said, we had already had it all ready to go. It's all in the warehouse. So place your orders. We're here.
Good and ready to go. I know you have a big business also in China. The coronavirus hitting China early, maybe learnings from that play into how you're navigating the crisis in the US, or how would you describe that?
We definitely saw, a near stop in business during when they were shut down. But now, as China's opening up again, we are seeing a somewhat small. It's not going to be where it was right away, I was on the phone, and another CFDA designer said, she's seeing business return at about 50% of where it should be.
Okay.
So I think that we're optimistic, but I think it's going to take a minute because now there's cultural behavior of, one person leaving the house to get groceries, and now suddenly people can go out of their houses, and like, how do you sort of readjust and reintegrate?
Yep.
So I think our business will be back, but it's going to take some time.
Yeah. Has this changed your perception or your thoughts on physical retail at all, in terms of maybe, again, now you're working direct to consumer more so? Do you want to kind of continue pushing that direction? Was that always the plan?
We always had a plan to have the ratios be more equal, and I think this has forced that to happen. And I think that I see a strong desire to return to physical retail when this is all over. I mean, my 2-year-old looked at me yesterday. He said, "Where are all the people, Mom?" And I almost started crying because I was like, "We crave connection and we crave, community. We can't have that right now, and shopping can be that." And I'm hoping and I'm optimistic that whoever's left at the end of this can, people will want to go out in stores
Yeah,
and shop and touch and feel and be part of that.
definitely. I know that you're now moving toward, you've linked with some charity partners. You're producing, moving to mask production. Tell me a little bit about that and kind of how important is it to kind of be actively uh, contributing to the fight, I guess? How would you talk about that?
So we haven't started mass production yet. We don't have our own factories here in the US or abroad. We work with a lot of partners, and we had already exhausted those resources of them being able to make masks. I am in touch with my first factory, my first New York City factory, and he and I are getting on the phone later today to figure out. He's a handbag factory. So I
Great.
just was like, can you make masks? So he says he can. Um, and then we're doing a t-shirt that should be ready to go next week. And the proceeds will go to buy masks and supplies for emergency healthcare workers. And that's kind of going back to my roots. When I launched in 2001, it was an I Love New York shirt that went to the Red Cross for 9/11. And so back to my t-shirt roots to give back to charity in that way. And then outside of that, we're doing a donate button every week on our stories, as well as working with the food bank for New York locally.
Nice. Is everything in terms of your social and your communication with customers? I mean, outside of email, Instagram, have you guys navigated TikTok or other channels right now?
My team is begging me for TikTok, and I'm gonna do it. I just haven't gotten there yet. I'm not intimidated by it. I just want to launch on a new platform that I can pay attention to and have the bandwidth. And haven't felt like I have that yet. We're also on a text message platform called Community, and
Okay.
so that's been really great. That's like, consider that the most intimate form of social communication. I'm texting people all day long, wishing them happy birthday. So we've seen a lot of great engagement there, and also great conversion. So when we do something special for them, they're our highest converting audience.
Amazing. Uh, what do you think, moving on? I mean, you're working from home, consumer behavior is changing, work behavior is changing. If you
Yeah.
had to kind of call out, like, what do you think are the lasting, what's going to stick after all of this? What's going to change? It's not going to be the retail environment we knew back when.
No, no, I think consumerism is great and purchasing is great. I think people will just be probably a little bit more careful. It's sort of also, maybe there was just too much, right? There was too many options. There was too many same of different things. And I think it'll sort of clear that out, and you'll have these new brands that are not new, these brands that are primed for growth to become bigger companies versus a bunch of little ones all competing for the same audience.
Yeah. Your team, your approach as it stands, is it like a 90-day plan? Are you just revisiting it like every single day and updating it? Or how would you describe kind of your day-to-day, step-by-step approach?
I think we're going really day to day. We also are going week to week. I think when the president announced, April 30th, that was our like, all right, what's the plan till then? So we have our daily, weekly, and then April 30th. And I hope it's over after that. I hope we can all go back.
Yeah. If you had to say, I mean, your 2020 isn't maybe what you had planned.
No.
Uh, can you talk a little bit about, I guess, projections and what the kind of year that you expected and kind of what you expected and like to keep it real, what you're expecting now? Stay afloat, revert. I don't know. Think again. Try again in 2021. It's nice. A lot of folks are saying, they're using now to plan for 2021. A lot of people don't have that luxury. But how would you describe that?
I think we are looking at 2020 and it's probably, 60, 70% of what we had actually planned, from a business perspective at the high. And so what does that mean and how do you do it? I think it's also relooking at if these other opportunities that we're exploring right now turn into big businesses, then it'll be, again, another silver lining of something we might not have explored before, but we're taking risks now. And it could be something that makes our 2021 even more successful. Knowing that our wholesale business comes back, it'll just be the cherry on top. So I'm remaining optimistic about that.
Right on. Are you really? Is there a team of founders? Are you? Is the Female Founders Collective
So
really rallying? Like, who are you talking to through all of this?
there's so many. There's a secret WhatsApp. It's not, I guess it's secret because no one knows about it because we're not promoting it. There's like a WhatsApp group that I'm on of founders that we're sharing deal flow and news all day long. I have a lot of founders, within the community. Wharton and the Baker Center had a Zoom call last Wednesday with about 21 founders going over best tips and practices. So I
Great.
think we're all in the spirit of sharing, like what's working for you, how is this happening, how are you doing this, and everyone is willing to share because um, the climate is such that we all have to help each other survive.
Yeah. Do you have any? I don't know, learnings from this? Or what are you saying in these groups? Are you saying like what's working for you? Is there something, maybe one thing that you're like, I'm glad we did this early. Let me take this back. Let me say, how about this? Going into this, is there some way you could have maybe better prepared, or maybe a learning that you can better prepare? You can prepare for a crisis, but you wish you had done, or that you'll do going forward.
I think it goes back to the ratio that we've always had with our business, as far as, not that you would ever want to pretend to run your business as if you were only ecom, but, we every day would, frankly prioritize, the needs of the bigger piece of the pie. And we have an amazing ecom business, but no one was worrying, the ecom team was worrying about it. And the organization wasn't structured around ensuring that everything in all vectors align towards that. So now that's the case. And so it's phenomenal for us to, as a company, be like, this is what everyone's focus and goal is around. And I think that just makes you as a company stronger. It makes you have far more knowledge and learnings. And then you're better at, whoever your other partners are, at just um, at giving them good data, that could help their business and help their sales. So I think for us, rallying around, this is RebeccaMinkoff.com. This is what we live and breathe each day, and let's make it as strong as possible so that God forbid, if something like this ever happens again, we know exactly what to do. We know best practices, we know how to hit the battleground.
Yeah. Are you still paid advertising, digital ads? Is that still driving to your site? Still making a go of that?
Yeah, paid social is probably the biggest part of that. And right now, the rates are really low across the board. So we're also saying, okay, maybe we lean into spending more on all that right now because it's, let's take advantage of the fact that the rates are lower than they've been in many years. And let's get some new eyeballs and then, turn them into new customers.
Definitely. Talk a little bit about how this really impacts. It was really unfortunate timing in my eyes for, like, you launched that Rebecca Minkoff Kids, which is so adorable. Last Fashion Week, February. I know, like, Resonance, through one of the designers I follow, like, is no longer producing, which was your kind of on-demand factory for that line.
Yes.
What's going on
Yes.
there, and how does that really impact a launch to have that, like, hurdle so early in the game?
Well, I'd say it takes all the air out of that balloon for
Right
now.
on. Yeah.
um, we had to put it on hold because the government shut down the factory in the DR. All factories that are non-essential. And so they can't make anything. And so we're just kind of on pause, and
Yeah.
we'll come back to it, and hopefully it can regain the momentum it had. Um, it's just bad timing. All of our partnerships were set to go live, all of the marketing was about to kick in, and all that was just, it ground to a halt. So we still had people inquiring about it, asking about it. So I know the desire is there.
Yeah.
It's just on pause.
Right on. What about with your extended line, the prior fashion week with Stitch Fix? Can you talk a little bit about how that business is going and some of those other partnerships that are happening? Is everyone's kind of in the same boat, or is something maybe doing better, surprisingly?
Um, I think everyone's in the same boat. I mean, Stitch Fix continues to be a customer of ours. Um, that's all I can say. I mean, I think,
Yeah.
we're working with any people who are still operating, to ship our orders and to work with them, but I don't have a way to know how their business is doing versus, some of the other ones.
Right on. Next fashion week, probably maybe not happening. You think
Um,
you'll do, you've always done something really original and anyway, brought your own kind of flavor to a show, but what do you think's the future of Fashion Week?
I mean, I think if all goes back to normal, I think we still plan to have our presentation that we've been having. We might begin to look at segmenting out the presentation, more so that it's an activation for customers only versus something separate we do that's more intimate for the industry. Um, we were just beginning to plan and talk about what that might look like, and that conversation is definitely on hold right now.
That makes sense. Okay, we are running out of time. I'm going to
Okay.
open it up to some questions from the viewers, and if they're not quick to ask, then maybe I will just ask myself.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Uh, oh, we've got a student question. I'm not sure if you can see these, but I'll read them off to you.
I can't. My video is like frozen, so I can't see anything.
Okay, well then I'll take it away. I'm a student looking to work in fashion after I graduate in 2021. In this new business environment, do you have any suggestions for adapting my job search? What are businesses? What are, let's say, anyway, what are businesses that may be hiring? I know that you even addressed this somewhere, maybe in a social
Yeah,
post, but
yeah.
maybe where should she place her efforts at this point in time or in 2021?
I would say, if you go to my stories, I think it's there. I posted probably 75 different businesses that are hiring. I don't remember a ton of them off the top of my head. Amazon is just fine. Amazon has a fashion division. They're partnering up with a ton of influencers. I'm sure companies like Stitch Fix are doing great. Like anything, that you can receive at your house, that is in the mail. I think, and picking some bigger companies. So maybe it's not the glamorous, um, you know, indie designer that you wanted to work for, but maybe it's a Target, and people are still going to certain places to consume goods and shop. And so get your feet wet there, and um, you know, don't be scared to work your way up. But some of our best staff have been people that started as receptionists, and they have been, going on to be directors in different areas. So don't be afraid to just start by getting your foot in the door.
Definitely. Similar line, along the similar lines from Sarah, she just says, well, advice on starting your own business. Can you start your own business in 2020? Is your advice, wait?
That's tough. I don't have enough information to know, like, what is your business? If it's food delivery on demand, I'm sure you're going to be doing fantastic. So I really don't know how to answer that without having more information. But you can DM me, and I'll answer it there.
Right on. We've got, let's do three more. How do you envision your store layouts once we get back to the business with the new normal? Will there be limited customers in store to provide social distancing for your staff? Do you think that will kind of remain? That fear will be there.
I mean, I think there's going to be a weird, awkward, in between where people are used to the elbows or the 6 feet. And I think just like it took us, well, we've been doing this for 3 weeks. It took us 3 weeks to get into the mindset of wearing masks and gloves and staying 6 feet away. So let's assume that for however long we're in this, I'm going to assume it's going to be that much for it to get normal. So I'm not going to change my store layouts, but I think my staff will be you know, politely standing, keeping themselves distant, and then we'll just hopefully fall back into normal. And people will. I'm going to hug as many people as I can when this
Yes.
thing's done. I'm gonna get as many germs as I can. So
Yes, I was saying, missing those mama hugs.
yeah,
um,
exactly.
after the coronavirus situation is over, do you think there will be a long-term effects on the relationship between brands and department stores and wholesalers? Will
For
things go
sure.
back to normal, or is that relationship changed for good?
I think that's relationship has changed for good. I think with what has happened, to every designer I've spoken of, and speaking with the CFDA, with how stores have prioritized, them sticking around and staying in business, and the effect that the ripple effect has had on the entire industry. I think there's going to be just a different way of doing business. Their demands might be more in their favor, and our demands will be more in ours. And so I think for us as a company, we're going to do what works for best, what prioritizes our business in the future. And of course, we want to have great partners and we want to work with them. So there will be a give and take, but I think there's going to be, different ways of doing business that I can't answer yet, but it's definitely going to be changed.
Yeah. Do you think that the brand will have? We were talking about like months ago that the brand has more power in terms of getting their story across in store, in terms of dropping their product when they want to. Will the brand have more power than ever?
I think potentially, I think if the right negotiations are made, a brand can have tremendous power. And I think um, when you take the long-term view, these department stores need these brands to be around at the end of this, and they need the designers to have businesses. And so that should hopefully make it so that these designers can call the shots more, um, to just better ensure better representation.
All right, we'll do one more question. As a leader, how do you manage keeping your employees motivated to move through this time? Who is keeping you motivated to move through this time while you're motivating the team?
I had a text message from a colleague, and they're like, "I'm just so sad today." And I said, "There is no time to be sad. Every time our attention is taken off of doing the best job we can and thinking about how we as a company survive, that's another pay cut, another furlough. Like, I will not lose any more people, and so we have got to get over our sadness real quick and like put our heads down and work." And she's like, "Oh, wow, thank you so much." So that's obviously not an easy conversation. And of course, I'm empathetic. Who isn't sad right now? Um, but sort of like, okay, I acknowledge I'm sad. I acknowledge that this is harder than I ever thought, but we got to keep going. We've got to keep working.
Yeah.
Um, so, and then as far as inspiration, I mean, there's amazing women. Lisa Licht is a great inspiration. Jessica Alba is a great inspiration. Um, I think I just follow a number of women that, or know a number of women that are just great leaders, and they're all really honest. Allie Webb is phenomenal. They're just like, this is hard and no one knows how to do this, and no
Yeah.
one should expect to know how to do this. And on top of that, for those that are caregivers, like that's a whole other level and layer of stress. So I think it's acknowledging that it's like difficult, and we're doing our best, I guess.
Right on. Are you still doing your podcast from home?
I'm recording some special episodes that are specifically geared around um, help. So I'm doing one with Sally Krawcheck of like, should we be saving? How should we be saving? What should we be investing in? Like, really specific to what's going on now. And those I'll be releasing weekly in addition to my regularly scheduled content. But I have enough content to last me through June, so I don't need to record anything uh, right now. I just want to record these extra ones that it hopefully can help people with more timely things.
Enough content. I feel like you are the exception to the rule.
I'm a
Awesome.
little OCD when it comes to that. I just want to know that I always have, a couple months of podcasts ready to go in case I get pulled off to do unexpected things like, be quarantined.
You know, you never know. Well, thank you, Rebecca. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, and thanks for all who tuned in and for your great questions. DM Rebecca if we did not get to them. All right,
I'm
thank you.
there.
All right,
Bye.
bye.